the other day to a wire. Wise is normally what I use, and the bank about $70 to do an international trip. What rock have you been hiding under? So anyway, Papa, go ahead.
There you go. I think what we're seeing is the change that needed to happen. The way that I see how we got here was simply a paradigm change. I mean, I'm part of that generation that probably with my name will probably give you an example name that had been the most Spanish name followed by the most English name. And then my grandfather was a professor at Cambridge, a UK one. My Colombian grandfather was in the countryside, several girlfriends, the whole Latino thing. And I grew up in a society which it was us and them. I'm a Latin kid, there's the UK kids. What happened after the pandemic was that we simply accelerated what needs to be done. Is that it's not about us and them, but it's about localizing the workforce. And what I'm starting to see is that, you know, pandemic happened, remote work happened, you can work anywhere in the world. 3 years in, we're starting to see the maturity of that. And that guy on the beach doesn't really work out. What happens is that big corporations actually have a percentage of their workforce go offshore, is centralized. And what's happening is that that engineering manager that maybe wasn't to the level of a Silicon Valley engineering manager, 3 years in, is. And what we now need to look at with companies such as Sarah Ash and myself is we need to talk about retention. Because these guys are highly skilled, highly needed, and very important. So what organizations need to do is they need to de-risk this. Right. And folks are not just interested now in working for a big multinational. Folks now need to be treated the same in California, in Bogota, in Peru, and in Lima.
It surprises me in a way that you have to declare retention. Like, retention should have been baked in. And I think thinking about this recently, I just wonder the origins of global outsourcing and where it all began. And I don't know if engineers were really celebrated the way they should have been. I don't know. What do you think, Eric?
Uh, I think engineers are, well, as an engineer myself, I celebrate myself. So I think we're celebrated. I think at times we're certainly celebrated, and sometimes the compensation matches that, and sometimes it doesn't, perhaps. But I think engineers are often looked too much upon as kind of a delivery mechanism, for something that the business wants. And if you then combine that with the dynamics of offshoring or nearshoring, that that sort of bias towards what the engineer is capable of doing or what their role is can be exacerbated. And so I think the key in retention and in this more flat global economy that we have is making sure that regardless of you know where someone is working, that they are treated as an equal member of the team, that they have strong collaboration, communication abilities within the team. And for us, this was what attracted me to Latin America as someone from the U.S. was the ability to work in those same time zones as we all know. But then it's not just about can you both attend a meeting at a reasonable time of day for you, but also are you treating each other as equals in a what is ultimately a very creative collaborative process.
Interesting. And Austin, I'd love to hear more from you about how widespread, what you're seeing your clients ask you to do in terms of these payments, what geographies you're active in. What if I have developers in Cuba, for example, or Venezuela, or I don't tell, and what are some of the more common? How much have you seen crypto used, things like that?
Yeah, I would say the best example of why crypto matters is in Argentina today. Uh, their currency is experiencing hyperinflation, and for those who get paid in Argentine pesos versus dollars, they immediately have 20 to 30% lower purchasing power. And they're not alone. There are other countries as well whose local fiat currencies are devaluing month by month. And so where our customers are asking us for help is to simplify the payout from the US to anywhere in the world. because their employers are asking for it, their customers are asking for it, and if you just do like some math, you know, folks in Argentina live this day that they have. But if you had $1,000 a year ago, that would be worth $2,600 in purchasing power today. So that's where I guess the crypto world is heading. There's a lot of silliness in crypto. I'd say those of us who are like seriously providing value, serving customers, employees, vendors in Latin America, and other parts of the world like Turkey and UAE and Egypt, in a currency that remains stable is incredibly important.
Yeah, give us an idea of the growth of crypto as a method of payment. What percentage of it is of your global distribution, if there's a way to do that, and do you see it on the upswing? Are the end user, the engineers or whoever is paying, are they asking for it more?
Yeah, I would say like so globally, the adoption of crypto as a technology is trending like adoption of the internet. And we're kind of in like the late 1990s of the internet in terms of the growth curve of crypto. We've moved billions of dollars of value for our platforms and Stripe and Shift4 and others. And really, where we help platforms go is just where the demand for crypto is the most. So there are 8.3 million people in Mexico who already own crypto. There's 26 million in Brazil who already own crypto, and 93 million in India who already own crypto. And as more and more people hold it and they tell their friends about it, their family about it, they see the real value of holding a stable currency in self custody. The number grows tremendously. And we're not even at the crazy hockey stick curve.
Are you going to go to 2000 .com crash along the way?
Yeah. You could argue 2022 is kind of.
Oh, you already covered that.
But yeah, maybe we'll see it.
Yeah.
But surely there are hype cycle elements. There's no doubt about it. But the killer app for crypto right now is stablecoins because again, local fiat currencies are just devaluing people's hard-earned wages. And
can you give us a little description of stablecoin? Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so a stablecoin is a cryptocurrency that's pegged to the dollar. And so it has the stability of a dollar, but it has the technological value of a cryptocurrency, which means you can send a dollar anywhere in the world to anyone with a wallet in seconds and for pennies. So if you and it's not the only way to send a dollar in the world as well. There are other options like PayPal or Payoneer, but how crypto is better is that a self-custody wallet can be spun up by anyone in minutes, and it can't be frozen by a payments provider. And they run on open networks, so you don't have exorbitant fees that companies like Payoneer or PayPal may charge, depending on the country. And so it is financial freedom technology, and stablecoins are the most widely used of that technology.
Okay, great. So, Bob, let's hear more from you about some of the more innovative things you guys are doing for retention and really breaking some ground.
Yeah, no, thanks, Greg. So what our vision is, everybody, is that we want to ensure that this gap between, let's say, Latin America and the US is brought together. What does this mean? Is that our vision is that we're going to be a platform that we're launching this month that an engineer in Medellin, Colombia, receives their paycheck and automatically they're able to have access to a 401k here in the US. They will have a digital wallet that they can have savings, stable coins, and number three, they're going to get access to the most innovative solutions that they can increase their level of English, they can become better coders. And so what this means is that a big organization, as I say back in the day, don't have a call center or a development center in that time, they will not have the benefits of a local organization. So we're all about bringing together, localizing the workforce, but most importantly, it's kind of a social mobility movement. That if you're an engineer in Latin America, you have all the benefits, you have all the opportunities to work with amazing talent as managers from the US in Latin America, but you also have the financial freedom. And what will happen is that, yes, of course, junior folks, mid-level folks will be cheaper, but there will be that engineer that, is the top 1% engineer that should be working here in New York. But given the fact that they're being paid in dollars, have access to amazing retirement plans, they'll probably stay in Colombia, they'll stay in Latin America.
So I think the first time I've ever heard about a 401k type retirement plan among the, in the near field was very interesting. So how did you set that up, and what, I'm wondering, is there an awareness of the value of that? Is there any matching, any of that kind of thing?
Absolutely. So, part of what we're launching is that from the money, we're going to be matching the employees' contributions as well. So, the idea here is that, Latin America, a lot of companies don't even have pension plans. But people will buy, what we say, they buy a shop. And that's something you're relying on for rent to live off. So, what we want to do is that we want this future digital workforce to be having retiring plans so that they're based in Miami, they're based here in the US. So we have to build partnerships, and because part of the way that we hired, one of the first actually hired from the US, and they're based in Latam, they're able to then contribute to these schemes.
Great. What's your reaction to that, Aaron? Hearing about this?
That's fine. No, I think it's great because it's good for us. We're a services provider, but at a boutique size, but working with clients in many countries and working with team members in many countries. And so some of the problems that you described are certainly problems that we would face, and also that we would face in competing for talent if they were to go, say to work directly for a U.S. company without us as a nearshore provider, kind of in between. So things like innovations like that, I think, are really important, along with payment innovation, which completely agree with what Austin said about the payments world is not caught up to the way that we work. And we're working in a very innovative, borderless way, but benefits, compensation, payment methods, all of these things have not caught up with that yet. So I think it's wonderful because it should help to keep this industry very competitive and able for talent to stay in their home country should they choose to. I think it's a wonderful option.
Right. I get the wonderful folks from England, and we've had a brainstorming over the last while last night. How are we going to get the engineering talent to a good level? And having these sort of products, I would love to have working kind of the top engineers that are based in the US who actually have knowledge. So imagine if we're able to build an infrastructure to come back home and start building, what good looks like, center of excellence. And I think that kind of will motivate, let's say, the big organizations that are here today to start kind of brainstorming that. It's like, we understand that we need to build and nurture the mid to senior talent, but there's certainly 1% A players out there. Let's get them back up.
Okay, good. Austin, I'm curious. I always feel like we should have a taxation person on one of these panels, because are the local jurisdictions confused? Are they standing in the way? I mean, there's a tax element always, right? How does that get managed in this crypto world?
So I'm no tax expert, but my dad is the tax guy. What I know is that today we offer tax reporting for U.S. customers and end users in the form of a 1099 DA. My understanding is that the U.S. is a little bit further along in tax reporting for digital assets in particular. But getting paid in dollars around the world should not present, I'd say, a special issue perspective.
Doesn't the engineer ultimately responsible for it? You guys walk us through this. How does this work? And it depends on the country, I suppose.
Yeah, so the way that we do it is a lot of the engineers that we work with are already private contractors, they have their own business. So therefore that they just send an invoice, they get paid, and they get off the local taxes. Of course, if you do EOR and they're local employees, you're responsible for the equipment, social security, etc. So yeah, this station is EOR, we can put it in stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's what you account.
Yeah, our experience is the same.
Yeah, good. All right, any Maria, let's get you back up here. Curious to know if you have thoughts or questions or comments out there. Anybody? Oh, okay, here goes Ria.
Just since you mentioned EOR at the very end, I was just curious how this all that we've heard right now, why is that not EOR? How is that different?
So you have the ER when you directly hire people locally in that country. Then what you have is a thing going on forever. Is that some people like to be employed from the US, global employment contract. So if they're employed as a global employment contractor, essentially they become a vendor. So they will have their own company, they will then invoice, and they will then have to kind of pay their own taxes, but they also decide locally, they get private healthcare, etc., and also abide by the local regulations.
One other thing I wanted to bring up is this come up a couple of times in our conversations today. It's the need to be more specialized in delivery of services. Now, you and I talked about that here. Tell us more about why you think that's so important.
Well, so when talking with potential clients about nearshore services, if I tell them, hey, I can help you find great developers in Latin America, but that's sort of the end of my pitch. And in 2010, when I first started the company, my business partner and I, that was our pitch. That very quickly devolves into purely a pricing conversation. And so it ends up being a bit of a race to the bottom. And I don't really like racing to the bottom, and I especially don't like talking pricing. so, so I wanted to avoid that for sure. And I think the best way to avoid a a pure price comparison is through specialization in some form, right? And that could come through specialization in the types of skills that you hire for, which is what we did initially with focusing on Ruby on Rails as a language, which especially at that time was particularly high demand skill, hard to define in Latin America at that time. And so we that was our first step in specialization. And then from there, I mentioned earlier, we have a separate brand called WebRTC Ventures, where we build live video applications. We started that in 2015 as another technical specialization that we do. And so in that brand in particular, we're that team, we are recognized as global experts in it's a very niche technology, but especially since the pandemic, a very important technology, and we're seen as global experts in that. So pricing is not so much in the conversation. We don't really even talk about the term nearshore in that situation, generally speaking. It's just we're really good at this. Most of the team happens to be in Latin America. Because we're really good at this, this is what we need to have. That's the best type of sales conversation I like to have. And only specialization allows for that. So in my mind, whether you're doing technical specialization or product use case specialization or industry specialization, I think some form of specialization is crucial to avoid pure race to the bottom.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, this was probably one of the hardest bits of being strong at Martin because obviously after the pandemic, Latam developers remote was like so hard level. So again, what the more you pitch high level IT firms where you say cheap, sound like awesome. And what did them really well for us actually focusing on situation sales. So, one of our key clients, they're a Nasdaq listed business. They unfortunately had to fire about 300 folks last year. And my pitch to them was very simple. Just, obviously the markets went down, the interest rates were high, but the folks they hired in the US didn't work. So I mentioned price once. I said, why don't we actually hire folks that are committed? Hire folks that if you give them excellent benefits, wonderful career development plans, they won't let you down. So they ended up moving around, based on 70 people with them since December in Colombia. And it started off just with some front end, back end, and their integration teams, their customer service teams, and then the stock prices just it's gone up with by 30%. Not because of us, but just because they started looking for a different culture of staff. It just happened to be cheaper.
Interesting. When you hear people sometimes say, such and such country is saturated or whatever, you have probably a very good sense of the ceiling that Colombia may have, if there's even a ceiling. So tell me, what do you think, Pablo? Do you think what's the supply look like when we're talking about engineers in Colombia?
it was, I'll be really honest with you folks. I came in last year thinking, oh, we're doing something innovative, oh, we're changing the world, something cool. And what have you been doing? It's been around for years, as long as you. And therefore, offshoring, insuring, they've been doing it for ages. And, what you then find is that, yes, there's amazing talent you can look on LinkedIn, whatever. But then all of a sudden you find one of the local banks, and there's sort of anywhere, there's this engineer that's been there for about 30 years and just doesn't make a lot of noise in the same company. And then we just put it into a fast growing tech company, and the founders were like, this guy's awesome. We found actually Venezuela, PhD educated computer science professor, signed work for a software house. And he's that guy was earning like $700 a month. We introduced him to a payment company that built a team in Medellin. And I caught up with him, and he's now living in Colombia making 150 grand 2 years later. And he's got a team of almost 40 engineers underneath it. So there is the supply there. It's just, let's not keep looking at fast growing tech companies. Let's look at the local companies where these guys have built big systems, big financial service companies, and they're there.
Excellent. Awesome. We'll come back to you. So, if there are people in this room, if they want to get people paid in Brazil or Peru, can they come to you, or do they have to go to Stripe and Stripe uses you?
You can come to us directly, or you can go to one of our partners like Stripe or Shift4. And I will say, just to kind of piggyback on market saturation and supply of high talent, there are a lot of freelance workers out there, many of whom are engineers who are looking for work on their own and getting paid consistently. And we just did this survey of 2,500 freelancers across Latin America, the US, and the Middle East. And we found that a majority of them, 58%, are not happy with their local payment systems. Half say that it takes too long to get paid and the fees are too high. And 80% said that they would rather get paid in dollar-backed stablecoins than their local currency. And so many of those who we surveyed are kind of doing their own work, and you could attract them to your platform and onboard them as a full-time employee if you meet their demand.
So give us an idea of where we're going to be 5 or 10 years. When you use the word stablecoin, will everyone in the room know what that means? Where do you think this is heading?
I really do think so, yeah. I do think I could be living in a bit of a bubble. But I think we're still at the low slope of adoption for stablecoins. I do think adoption just tends toward where things are most convenient and where things solve problems more than the most. So 10 years is a long time, and I think the payment systems around the world will look a lot more like the internet than mainframes written on COBOL.
Excellent. And our two other panelists will close it out with any comments you'd like to make.
Well, I was just reminded of when I started Agility Feed in 2010, we came up with our first, we had our first clients, and then I needed to make the first payment to, at that time, the full team was in Costa Rica. And I had a oops moment of realizing my ignorance of the business I had just started. I didn't really know how to set money internationally. And I had been talking with my bank. I just didn't realize how long it was going to take, right? So I ended up going to my local grocery store to Western Union, paying a ridiculously high fee to try and get just an initial little bit of money sent there so that the team wouldn't riot on me. And now, 14, 15 years later, my bankers earlier this week took me out to a very nice lunch because we're sending so many millions of dollars of transactions through them that, that's probably the least they could have done. Take me to lunch, the fees that we pay. So, and while they do a great job, and it's much better than when I was going to the grocery store back in the day, I think there's so much opportunity for payments internationally and to see, kind of like an effective international currency. And I think it just does so much, and that's what I love about this industry in general, and it gives me the most joy in being a very small part of it, is just seeing how it opens up opportunities for people around the world. I benefit so much learning culturally from that experience, but also seeing them, seeing the world open up to them, and better payments platforms, benefits platforms, all of that factors into that.
Thank you. Thank you. With the closing words.
I think we're in a very interesting moment in history. BPO, you're really obviously think about customer service, call center agents, they leave, you can replace. I think what I'm so excited about is that the people in offshoring becoming so important in an organization that replacing them is actually very difficult. And so we're seeing this shift in power from the big multinational arriving to these towns thinking, we can hire whoever we want, anyone can leave. But now the power's coming to the candidate saying, hey, I'm now extremely valuable for you, look after me. And I think if we look at, we always talk about globalization, but what I'm really keen to do is to talk about localization. So that, down south is actually treated with more respect, have better opportunities. And in Colombia, I'm very sad there's a word for Foul, which means someone who just came out of nothing. And society still talked about stage six, the richest part of society, stage one is the poorest. And moving up in society is difficult. I'm from the UK. We love it when an immigrant kid moves up and starts a business. In Latin America, still like, where did this come from? What's happening? Like, what's surname like? And all of the surnames, like, fuck the surname. They've got the capability, they've got the passion, they've got the willingness to succeed. And all of a sudden, they're earning six-figure salaries, looking after their family, then as an ordinary region.
Incredible. Yeah, we love those stories. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.